Patterns of My Life by Isabella Marinilli. I know what you're thinking, right? Stories of girls with telekinetic powers were overrated and had been done too many times, right? Well, most of these stories of telekinetic girls were either born with these abilities or just gifted. However, that wasn't the case for me. I had to go through hell to get these powers, and that wasn't even my goal. Hell, I didn't even know telekinesis was even possible. I was just trying to stay alive. Let me explain. I always had problems with being unreasonably anxious. My heart rate would start beating really fast and I would have problems breathing. This has been happening for as long as I can remember, but once I hit middle school, it got really out of hand. Not only was I anxious enough to make me very physically ill, but I would have these crazy thoughts that would speed through my head a million times a second, driving me insane enough to put me in a psych ward where I was abused. After I was released from the psych ward, I was 100% worse than I had been before. I barely ate, slept, kept blacking out and doing things I couldn't remember, being trapped in a chain of repetitive movements I could not stop. Even though I did not want self-harm, I wasn't able to stop. It was so bad that I was sure that no physical torment could be worse than this. But besides all those other feelings rushing through me, I was angry, like really angry. I was angry of the way I was treated in the psych ward. I was angry that no one could help me or no one seemed to want to even try. And what angered me the most is that if anything, people around me just wanted to add on to the suffering and were enjoying it. This really made me feel like I was going to go insane, and all these emotions mixed together on top of what I was already going through were too much to bear. It was inevitable that I would lose my mind and commit permanent self-harm against my free will, unless I do everything in my power to avoid it. I started using the energy of all my distraught emotions and created a certain pattern of thoughts to process the world around me. During this process, I found out that my brain chemistry was very specifically affected from the mix of medication I have been on over the years and all the self-inflicted concussions, which little did I know would be a crucial part in getting telekinesis. Then I used this very specific pattern of thought to concentrate away from my distraught mind and into the energy that surrounded me. It helped me have some control over the situation, but it was no walk in the park. Concentrating constantly with all the strength I had was exhausting, and I still didn't have free will over my thoughts. The only thing that was of hyper-focusing helped me was with keeping the thoughts at a steady pace so I wouldn't black out and hurt myself. But I still wasn't able to relax or think about my favorite songs or admire the blue sky. It was all never-ending work of hyper-focusing on a very specific set of instructions so I don't totally lose my free will and consciousness, and most of all, so that I could keep my sanity, which I was terrified of losing. Sometimes I would go days without eating or sleeping because I would lose track of time hyper-focusing on keeping my sanity. While I was grateful I came up with a way to not lose my sanity and hurt myself, have to deal with any more terrifying delusions, I became quite depressed. You see, after I didn't have to hyper-focus as much anymore, I had finally reached a point where I could break my hyper-focusing trance without going insane. I felt extremely happy, like a huge weight has been lifted from my shoulders, and I could finally have some free will. I would still have to hyper-focus every now and then, but it wasn't constant anymore. I could finally breathe. However, once I could now think about life, I realized I barely remembered the last 6 years of my life. It was like they were blocked off. I am 18, but the last clear memory before my mind got sick was when I was 12. I felt immense sadness and fell into a deep depression, knowing I've lost most of my teen years. The years that kids look forward to. One day, February 13th, was the day when I first realized I had telekinesis. This made me feel a bit better and less depressed about my situation. If only the mental hospital actually did their jobs and helped me instead of treating me terribly and refusing to do their jobs, maybe I would have never slipped into that mental state that blocked out 6 years of my life. How do they even get their jobs? Did the mental hospital just hire a bunch of randos from the street who believed mental illness was a hoax and that everyone in a mental hospital deserved to be punished? It sure seems like they did. Anyways, I should be thanking them, because if they never pushed me over the edge of insanity, I would never have gotten the energy from stress and anger to unlock said telekinetic abilities. The real question is, now that I have unlocked these abilities, what's next for me? Well, first of all, I am nothing like those who treated me terribly, and I will never be. I plan on using my powers for good, and I won't take advantage of my powers either. Although my story would make a pretty cool villain origin story, so I guess because I'm an author, I'll write a story about a character who goes through the same struggles I did and becomes a villain instead.